Welcome to the groundbreaking news program that delves into the heart of Mormonism, your weekly window into the unique intersection of news, history, and culture that resonates with the tapestry of Mormonism. So whether you're tuning in from the heart of Utah or joining us from around the world, your favorite news program starts now, where news meets insight and the stories of our faith unfold.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to the Mormon Newscast. Today's date is October 14th, 2024. It is I, myself, Radio Free Mormon, known by friend and foe alike as RFM. I'm joined by Rebecca Biblioteca. How are you doing?
I am fabulous. Happy fall, y'all. I'm finally kind of getting in the spirit.
I'm so glad. What kind of October-y book are you reading right now?
Oh, you mean for our book club? We just finished Armageddon. Can't get any more Halloweeny and October-y than that by Bart Ehrman, right? Terrifying. And our next book coming up in the Good Book Club is No Nonsense Spirituality by Britt Hartley. Also terrifying in many ways.
How do people join this book club of yours?
Oh, it's really easy. You can find us on Facebook and then just, request to join. And then you can see all the links and all that stuff. You can also send me an email to thegoodbookclub@mail.com, not Gmail. We're not cool enough to have a Gmail address, but mail.com. And it's just a virtual Zoom meeting once a month, second Sunday, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And we just hang out with people all over the world and we talk about great books through the lens of Mormonism. That's the important part, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Facebook, where on Facebook?
Just search The Good Book Club.
The Good Book Club. And the "the" is part of the title, right?
It is part of the title. It's kind of a pun. Do you get it? The Good Book Club? Yeah, there are a lot of, you don't get it? No? Does anyone else get it?
I'm sure everybody else gets it.
The Good Book. Haven't you ever heard the Bible referred to as the Good Book? Where did you serve your mission?
Yes, I have. But the Book of Mormon is the best book.
There it is.
Good, better, and best.
The problem with calling a book club the Good Book Club is that there's about 500 other ones that are Christian book clubs. So, you have to weed through a few.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, obviously, Bill Reel is not here. He is indisposed. He won't be with us tonight. Otherwise, he'd be writing herd on us better. Keep us in line more with the newscast format instead of being so informal. So we've got a bunch of stories for us tonight. If you're ready to go ahead, Rebecca.
I'm ready. I'm all ready, totally ready. It's going to be a good show tonight.
I'll try and put this up on the screen. Top stories for tonight are, number one, 91 lawsuits filed against the LDS Church. And those are sexual abuse lawsuits, and those are in California. We'll get to that in a moment. That is the lead story for tonight. After that, we have discovery, as in legal discovery, halted in tithing lawsuit. That's the one going on in Salt Lake City, that big old class action that just got thrown together and put in Salt Lake City in front of Judge Shelby. Next story is Trump LDS themed merch. And that's merchandise, right?
Merch stands for merchandise. Yep.
Okay, I understand there's a bit of a snafu with that recently.
Just a little.
Temple updates. Who's going to be covering that, I wonder?
Yeah, I wonder.
That'll be you, right?
That'll be me. Yep, I've got a few.
And then rounding out tonight's show, is President Nelson still with us? And we will see. You'll have the answer to that penetrating question. All right, so going on with tonight's top story by RFM. Oh, Floodlit. This is the source for tonight's story, Floodlit. And by that, I mean the LDS counterpoint of the Catholics' Spotlight, reviewing, having a place to collect and I think really collect. And there's sex abuse allegations within the LDS Church is what it is, as opposed to within the Catholic Church. And they're just all collected there is what it is. I think that's the verb I was trying to think of. They're collected there, and they have released something in the last few days about this. 91 civil lawsuits filed in California in August through October. So that's August, September, October. That's just 2 months, maybe 2.5 months. 2024, that's this year, alleging child sexual abuse by Mormon church leaders or members, along with failure to report the abuse to law enforcement. And once again, you can go to floodlit.org and you can look under coordinated-lawsuit-California, and you will find a lot of this information that we'll be presenting tonight, as well as more than this. Now, this is coming by a law firm who has filed these lawsuits. All these lawsuits have been filed by the same law firm, is my understanding. And it's Slater, Schulman, LLP, attorneys at law. They're located, I believe, in Los Angeles, California. And I think that all of these cases are alleged to have happened in California as well. So as of October 12th, 2024, this coordinated wave of lawsuits, all filed since August 26th, so that's really only a month and a half, all filed since August 26th, 2024 by the Slater Schulman LLP law firm against the Mormon Church, involved 97 total accused LDS church leaders and or members in California, including 20 bishops, 20 elders. Now, here we get into a place where I'm not exactly sure what they mean. I know what they mean by bishops, but when they say 20 elders, that covers a lot of ground in the LDS Church. A lot of times we use that to talk about the male missionaries, but then underneath that, it has 8 missionaries. So I'm not exactly sure how they're categorizing these, but it goes on to say 5 high priests, 6 teachers, and I've got a feeling they don't mean the priesthood office. That's
No, I don't think so.
To the LDS Church, but probably just people who have callings to teach. I'm guessing here. 4 counselors, 3 youth leaders, 1 stake president, and 30 other leaders and or members. In all, 91 abuse survivors have joined efforts in suing the Mormon Church. This is, I think, a huge story. And this is a huge building. And I believe this is the building where that law firm has its offices. On September 6th, the SSS LLP, it's the same law firm we've been talking about, submitted a petition for coordination to the Riverside County Superior Court, requesting that all 91 related civil cases be considered as a coordinated set of action. So according to this, it appears to be the plaintiffs that are asking for this to happen. The law firm said 5 more recently filed cases may end up getting included, and that more lawsuits may be filed and included in the future. The plaintiffs each allege nearly identical causes of action, including negligence, negligent supervision of a minor, sexual abuse of a minor, negligent hiring, supervision, and retention, negligent failure to warn, train, or educate plaintiff, breach of mandatory duty. And the plaintiff there under number 5 would be the alleged victim, and 6, breach of mandatory duty. And I think those are the general causes of action that would cover this kind of allegation. Do you have any questions before we go on, Rebecca?
I don't think a question, but just to say I am not surprised, because over the last probably 6 months, I've seen various posts where people say, look what I just saw on TV. And they've snapped a picture of the screen and it's an ad from a law firm. I don't know if this law firm, but other law firms, perhaps this one, saying, have you been harmed by the LDS Church? Have you suffered abuse in the LDS Church? So there's definitely been, something out there where people are asking others, has this happened? And so I'm not surprised that people answered the ad, called the number, and here we go. Because as soon as these lawyers and attorneys figure out how much money the LDS Church has and how it's centralized, it's not like the Catholic Church where you would sue a diocese, say California, and then bankrupt, right? It's over, no more lawsuit. You can sue from anywhere in the world because it's a corporation sold. The money is all under one proverbial roof, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so I had wondered about this as well. Let me go on a little bit further with this story. Oh, here's a picture of the lawyers in the law firm. And what is definitely not a photoshopped picture, but looks like there's the lawyers in front of that big old building they've got there. And these are the latest updates. If you have any information, this is from Floodlit. If you have any information about any cases in this coordinated lawsuit, please contact us. It was edited at 5:55 p.m. October 12th, so 2 days ago. They say, we've sent this story to the AP's, Associated Press's Mike Resendez, the Spotlight reporter, the Los Angeles Times, the Salt Lake Tribune, and a few other news organizations. I think that's supposed to be news organizations, inviting them to pick it up. In the meantime, we're combing through the 91 cases one by one. We'll try to get a copy of the complaint in each case. Some are available for free, but others are pricey. Looking at you, Los Angeles County. By the way, there's also a request on this website that if any of you want to coordinate with them in trying to get copies and obtaining copies of these lawsuits so that all of them can be collected together by Floodlit, please contact them and make arrangements. And I say contact them so everybody's not getting the same one case, right? So that all 91 cases or 96 cases are being obtained. Get all those together, and then they'll be made available probably on the website for Floodlit. But you can contact them and help out with that. It was edited again on October 13th, which would have been yesterday morning on Sunday. A couple of you asked which counties. Petitioners seek to coordinate 91 cases, which are currently filed in at least 26 counties, including Los Angeles, Alameda, Contra Costa, Del Norte, Fresno, Kern, Lawson, Napa, Orange, Placer, Riverside, Sacramento, San Bernardino, San Diego, San Francisco, San Joaquin, San Luis Obispo, San Mateo, Santa Clara. That's where I was born. Shasta, Solano, Sonoma, Stanislaus, Tulare, Ventura, and Yuba. All right. So lots of different counties. And it was when I saw all those different counties and all these different cases being filed in such a short period of time that I realized I hadn't seen the commercials, and nobody had notified me to my recollection about the commercials. But I realized this must be the result of commercials being put on TV, people calling the commercials so that they would have in one law firm this many lawsuits of a similar nature to be filing in this close a period of time. So yes, definitely commercial driven. And this is a big deal, a huge deal. Have you ever heard of anything like this before?
No, this information I'm trying to think, I think I just stumbled across the Reddit post by Floodlit, which is just incredible, the way that they're able to keep up on things and break the information before anyone else. And I think we should clarify, I have not seen this in any kind of an article. Like the Tribune has not put this out yet. Deseret News has not put this out yet. This is somebody like Floodlight looking and saying, oh my gosh, look, this one law firm has, sorry, my dog is snoring, has put out all these lawsuits. So I feel like sending it to especially Michael Resendez, who, as we know, followed so closely the Arizona case. And he, of course, is the reporter who the Oscar-winning movie Spotlight was based on, because he dug in and he shone a spotlight on the abuses in the Catholic Church. And I know that he is very interested after, I think I communicated with him back and forth a little bit on the Arizona case. And I think he thought, oh, I'll just kind of do a little reporting on this and see. And then when he started to find out what was happening, the systematic cover up, I think he was like, oh my God, this is sounding very similar. So something like this, right up his alley. I feel like he probably will want to get very involved and find out what's going on.
Well, I'm really glad that there are people out there who are interested in finding out what's going on and who can publish about it publicly in a way like we are tonight, though not in print. We're doing it in podcast form. This was also edited again yesterday morning, that BBC News has reached out to floodlit.org regarding the story that they broke yesterday. So apparently the story was broken on Saturday, the 12th. And it's already causing quite a stir. They end by saying, we hope they'll cover it, and we certainly do as well. Okay, so that is the end of everything that I have to say about this particular case right now. There's a little bit more legal news that we'll go into if you don't have anything you'd want to add at this point.
Well, I think I want to think back to a couple episodes of the newscast ago when you talked about Dr. Broadbent. Do you remember that? And there were well over 200, almost 300, I think, suits or allegations against him. I mean, if you just start adding this up, tick, 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 it's incredible. And I still feel like it's just the tip of the iceberg as people realize, and I don't know, I guess I should ask you, what is the statute of limitations on all of these things?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Because more and more, it seems to me, without being an expert on this case, that the statute of limitations has become flexible to the point of non-existent.
Yeah, that's the sense I get too. And so I feel like a lot of people, especially people like, say, my age, raised in the church, things happen. I think I said before, I guarantee any woman in the church is going to know a friend who something happened to, if it didn't happen to her herself. And you tend to just kind of, that was the past, you brush it aside. You don't, that was what you did in the 70s and 80s. You just move on. Now here's this thing where things are being broken open. You start thinking about it again and you start wondering, and now there's some kind of recourse. So I think it's the tip of the iceberg. I think I made a meme that said, is this what the rainy day fund is for? And I'm talking about the church. When it was discovered, they had so much cash, right? They were hoarding billions of dollars. And they said, well, it's for a rainy day, and then COVID happens. I mean, that's not a rainy day, a global pandemic. Maybe this is a rainy day. If we're counting 91, Broadbent is, how many, not that the church would have to pay for him, but, involved in LDS involvement. So I don't know. This is only going to get more interesting, I think.
I think both of them are horrible, but horrible in different ways. Here you've got Broadbent, who's at least alleged to have victimized so many women as one defendant, right? And here you have, in this case, allegations of in the 90s, around 96, 91 victims with probably almost as many defendants. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen them yet, but they're probably going to be different people who are being alleged to be the perpetrator in most of these, the connection being that they had callings in the church, and therefore the church is legally liable for their actions, will be their argument. Okay, so
can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I love it. It's like having a lawyer on dial, right?
Like
on speed dial. No, and so I think we should also clarify that these, as I understand it, these plaintiffs are not suing their perpetrators. Are they? They're suing the church that did not act to protect them. Is that how it is?
I haven't seen the complaint. Frequently, they will, in a complaint such as this or a lawsuit such as this, the perpetrator will be named as a defendant personally if they're still alive. I'm expecting some of these go back to the 70s and 80s, if not the 60s as well. But if they're still alive, and maybe even if they're not, they'll probably name the plaintiff, the defendant, the person themselves, in addition to the LDS Church. But the LDS Church is certainly the one that is probably going to be the one with the deep pockets. All right. Any other questions?
No, I think we'll just watch and see, because again, this is very, very new. We haven't even seen an actual article in any kind of newspaper periodical about this. This is just somebody discovering that these cases have been filed. So breaking news, right, from Floodlit, and then we're covering it. So it's great.
All right. So let's go on to this other case, which really is not that important in my opinion. But it's LDS Church gets a mini victory in tithing case as judge pauses discovery of evidence. This is by Tony Cimarrod from the Salt Lake Tribune, October 10th, 2024. There's that unsightly building in Salt Lake City, that federal courthouse. A federal judge has agreed to delay temporarily, the discovery of evidence in a high-profile lawsuit over tithing against the Utah-based faith Mormonism and its investment firm, Ensign Peak Advisors. On a request by church attorneys, Judge Robert Shelby put discovery on hold last week until he can rule on whether to dismiss the underlying lawsuit, which is likely a few months away. So Judge Shelby said a short delay is especially non-concerning, given that the case, if it survives, will take substantial time to litigate. Now, we had already done a report earlier, a few weeks back, about this motion that was pending in front of Judge Shelby. This is not really concerning to me either. I agree with him. It makes complete sense to me. If you've got a case that has a motion to dismiss it, that's probably going to be heard in December, probably ruled on not long thereafter. It really doesn't make sense to go through all of this work of discovery. And like Judge Shelby's going to say, a lot of these discovery issues and requests are going to be objected to by the church, which means they're going to have briefing and hearings in front of the judge for him to make rulings on what can be discovered, what doesn't have to be discovered, and what's going to have to be supplied to him so he can review it in chambers, in private, to make his own determination as to whether it's discoverable. And why go through all that trouble if it's just going to be dismissed? And then it'll pursue its own line of appeal. But it makes sense to me. I don't think that this is a very remarkable ruling, and I don't think it's going to change this case very much. But going on, the court also has no reason to believe, Shelby wrote, that a pause on discovery will be the cause of lost evidence, missing witnesses, or significantly faded memories. So these are some of the things that a judge has to consider when pausing discovery in this case, in any case. And He's saying, nah, it's a few months. It's not going to be a big deal.
I don't know.
The Salt Lake, what?
I said,
Did you say something, or was
I
that
don't
angry
know.
Alice?
Just kind of, no, it could be the dog Alice. No, I was going to say, I don't know. Evidence going missing. I mean, who's to say some leader high up in the church couldn't cut something out and scotch tape it somewhere? I mean, it's happened before, right?
Oh, right. Absolutely. So there's really nothing that a judge can do that would prevent a party from intentionally destroying evidence.
Right.
Okay. But what he's saying is a couple months continuance isn't going to cause stuff to get accidentally lost. It's not likely. Wow. You're a hard sell. This is a
I'm
tough
really
audience tonight, but that's
suspicious.
what he
No,
wrote.
and I'm very suspicious. And again, we keep saying over and over, discovery. We just want discovery in all these cases. And I hope everybody understands what that means. Maybe you could even, after you finish this, just explain it a little bit. And I guess I didn't realize that one party says we need this piece of information, then the church in this case could fight back and say, no, you don't. So it sounds like there can be a back and forth in discovery. Am I understanding that right?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Yeah, that could go on forever. Are you kidding?
Well, there are time limits to discovery
Okay.
that usually have to be observed. This is obviously going to be a very complicated case if it's not dismissed. I'd expect it'll be an expansive period for discovery, but there are limits to it because eventually you have to get to trial in a case. It's not what is it, Jarndyce versus Jarndyce? Isn't that the name of the case that goes on forever in Bleak House?
Oh, yes, it is. You're right. I was going, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not supposed to be like that. And hopefully it will not be.
So it's kind of forced transparency, basically. Discovery in the church's case, an organization that is not transparent at all. This is forced transparency. And I think that's why we're all looking forward to that. If even a tiny bit of information came out that might be of interest or shed some light on things.
Well, I think realistically, no matter what Judge Shelby rules on this motion to dismiss, it's going to get appealed. If he grants it, it'll probably be appealed. If he denies it, it'll probably be appealed. So all this discovery may be sometime in the offing, actually.
Wow. It's a good time to be a post-Mormon lawyer. That's all I can say. You and Colby, you're going to be on every podcast. We need you to help us
There's
get
a
through all
lot to
this.
talk about. And once again, I just want to say once again about Colby Reddish. He's very, very capable attorney. He's got a mind for the law.
He does. If only someone would debate him. I just don't quite understand that.
I'm not going to debate him. I'll tell you that. I learned from him. So
I know.
I don't want to argue with him.
No.
The Salt Lake. Let me see here. The Salt Lake City-based judge, I think I've started this paragraph 3 times, has scheduled arguments on whether to dismiss the case for mid-December and said he is likely to resolve that motion shortly thereafter, which means within 6 months. That's judge talk for within 6 months, shortly thereafter. It'll probably be a month or 2 thereafter. He'll issue a written opinion after it's going to be argued. But here in mid-December, before Christmas, and it's already October 14th, so that's just a couple months away. That's really short in legal terms. There's our hero, Judge Shelby, right there. The would-be class action suit is being pursued by 9 plaintiffs in 5 states, including Utah. This is for those of you who don't recall all the details of this, alleging fraud by top church leaders and Ensign Peak officials over how tithing funds were used. They contend the church solicited donations for charitable purposes, but instead diverted the funds to a multi-billion-dollar investment portfolio managed by Salt Lake City-based Ensign Peak. Their action also seeks to certify a class of plaintiffs nationwide in the case they say could include millions of like-minded former Latter-day Saints. Church lawyers are seeking to have the entire case thrown out, arguing it threatens to violate First Amendment protections that bar the courts from probing into religious affairs. They also sought to block discovery of evidence on a similar basis, contending that the court-authorized process created a substantial danger that the state will become entangled in essentially religious controversies. The plaintiffs, meanwhile, disagreed, countering that lawyers for the faith had failed to show how discovery might create a hardship or inequity for the church. And as we said, that's been put on pause now for a few months, the discovery, pending the motion to dismiss filed by the church. but a delay in discovery, Shelby said, would result in a comparatively small amount of harm to the plaintiff's case while easing a significant burden for the church. Yeah, we always got to ease the burden for the church that has its own law firm and billions of dollars. On top of involving decades of conduct by church officials and potentially millions of proposed class members, Shelby said the complaint alleges a global religion committed fraud amounting to tens of billions of dollars. In other words, he's talking about this is going to be a massive, massive case with a lot of discovery. If the case proceeds to discovery, the judge wrote, the cost and time defendants commit to their discovery responses will be significant. Yeah, that's an understatement. Delaying such a legal to and fro for now, the judge said, is also convenient for the court. Now we get to the bottom of it. Church lawyers, he noted, say that First Amendment issues in the case will generate numerous legitimate discovery disputes. So it makes it easy for the judge. It makes it easy for the church. Not so good for the plaintiffs. But a lot of times the most important thing is what's easiest for the judge. Okay, so that's the end of that story. Any questions about that?
There it is.
It's the first story, is it?
I love this. It's equally as important. I love this two-pronged attack. I love it. Let's just break it all open. That's what I say.
The church is facing a lot of jeopardy, legal jeopardy, more so now than perhaps since 1890 or so. Mm-hmm. It's massive. And the lawyers for the church are going to be burning the midnight oil and earning their money over the next several months and years, I think. But you've got a few great stories for us too tonight, don't you?
I do have a few stories. I have one more comment on this though. And I feel like, we watch this and critics might say, oh, you guys are so delighted by this, or you're so gleeful,
you are.
That it's burning down. No, that's not how I feel. I feel like, the church is an organization that my friends and family are going to continue to belong to. So what if these lawsuits, what if they made it a better, safer place? What if they finally had them turn around on child protection? What if they found a better way to ask for tithing that didn't cripple families financially? What if it, as we often see happen outside in, facilitated some kind of change? That's how I look at it. I'm not like gleeful, like burn it all down. I'm saying maybe eventually 100 years from now, 150 years from now, maybe, it'll be a different kind of organization, the kind of organization that it claims to be, and a lot of people still think it is, but don't really know. So that's my hope anyway. I just had to clarify so I didn't look so, vindictive.
Okay. Well, another way of looking at it for me, the Salt Lake suit is, what if the church, with around $170 billion in Ensign Peak, what if they actually had to use a certain percentage of that money for charitable purposes, while at the same time taking advantage of their charitable status as a church, to not have to pay taxes on the income, and the people who donate it don't have to pay taxes on it either. Yeah, that would be that'd be an interesting world too.
Yep, all those
positive world that may be coming.
Yeah, it may be. That's what I'm saying. Every time there's a change from within, you can trace it to something without. I can't think of an example when anything changed for the better just spontaneously. It's always some pressure from outside, or someone that is inside that then's kicked out.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how it operates. So, all right.
Here's your meme.
And look, here's my meme that I made. And this applies to, I think, all the kinds of lawsuits. It says it's an umbrella, of course, for those that are listening, in rain. And it says the LDS Church faces 91 new child sex abuse lawsuits in California. Could this be that rainy day we've been hearing so much about? And I was kind of looking in the chat without Bill here to throw things up in front of us. I've got one eye on the chat, one eye on you. But somebody was kind of doing the calculations of the money. Like if each plaintiff only got like $250,000, and then, it really can add up extremely fast. We can be talking about billions of dollars.
$250,000?
Yeah. Like if each plaintiff got that.
Well, if there were 100, there would be 4 for $1 million. That would just be $25 million.
Yeah, exactly. But then
do I have that right?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm saying just times that, worldwide and what else could be coming, even if each little plaintiff got a modest sum, and I
Yes.
know some of are going to be asking for a lot, it still could really add up with a lot of people. So, and if they decide to settle, I mean, wouldn't that be interesting if all these were just settle? Let's just get it out of there, get it out of the public. Even that would be a big chunk of change. So I don't know.
Yes, that would be a big chunk of change that we would never know how much it was.
Nope, we would never know about the settlements. That's something that's kind of. I saw a list posted the other day of all the active lawsuits against the church before this. Just here and there, this and that. There are page after page after page for different things. It's pretty amazing, I think. Yeah. All right, let's see. Are we
That's a great meme,
on
by the
my
way.
slide? Okay.
Can you forward these slides, Rebecca?
I'm going to be able to move my own slides,
Okay.
believe it or not. I can do
Okay.
it. Sometimes I
keep my
can't. I'm
hands off
logged
the
on
slide.
wrong. Yeah. I'm good this time. Yes, I can do it. So this was a really interesting. Ooh, and you flipped me up on top. Awesome. This was a really interesting article. So in the Salt Lake Tribune, they came out with this article that said Trump campaign launches official Latter-day Saint outreach program, right? Because he really is after that attractive LDS vote, which is funny that they even have to court the vote because that typically does not happen. So it says Harris has also launched an outreach effort to Latter-day Saints in Nevada and Arizona. This is true. They're saying that the LDS vote is going to be very important. Instead of voting like a block, it seems like we might be able to split that block and very attractive to either candidate and could be very pivotal. So in this article, it says the coalition, which is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, includes top political leaders from Arizona, Idaho, and Utah who seek to uphold cherished principles of faith, family, and religious liberty, the official release said. So that's what this group is all about. And it does include the authorization and the sponsorship by top LDS leaders of, political leaders is what I'm trying to say. So this group is called Latter-day Saints for Trump. Thank goodness it wasn't called Mormons for Trump, right? They got that right. Latter-day Saints for Trump. And as many campaigns will have, there's merchandise, right? You can get merch to show your support for a certain candidate. So what was interesting about this, and someone else caught this from an article, Trump campaign stumbles with Latter-day Saints coffee mugs and koozies. And you can see that right there, a Latter-day Saint white coffee mug. There it is. You can sip your morning Joe and think about voting for Trump and thinking about being a Latter-day Saint. Or you can also keep your beer warm, right? Or cold, not warm. So everybody thought that was really funny. And obviously, how would they know, right? These are typical items that you would have in any kind of merch, any kind of campaign, but it's just kind of ironic and funny. So a couple of people weighed in. Samuel Benson, political reporter for the Deseret News, says nothing says Latter-day Saints like coffee mugs and koozies for hot chocolate and Diet Coke. Of course, that's what you would use it for. McKay Coppins says in the Trump campaign's defense, pandering to LDS voters is not something that Republican politicians have traditionally had to do. And that's very true. So it makes sense that they are this bad at it. So I thought that was pretty funny. What do you think about this merch, RFM?
Well, usually I'm in favor of merch. I'm kind of surprised that, okay, first off, I've got to imagine that if you're involved in a campaign and you're going out somewhere, you've got a certain, you got mugs, you got warehouses full of these things, and you slap labels on them and try and get them out there. There was nobody who could tell them a coffee mug for Mormons might not be a good idea.
Yeah, see, that was surprising to me too, because I know there's a coalition. I know there are some people that have been brought on to, guide the campaign through the stormy waters of the LDS Church, because it is, there's certain ways things are done. So yeah, I was surprised at that too, but I guess
at least they didn't say Mormons for Trump.
That's what I thought. They very easily could have said Mormons for Trump. Although I do notice that while they do have the hyphen correct, they do not have the small d. So, and who would know, that it's so, there's no hyphen for this church, Latter-day Saints. There's a hyphen for this church for Latter-day Saints. There's a big D, small d, all of course revealed by God to the different religions. But, you have to be very specific. So I feel like they did the best they could. That's what I think. So let's move on. So they did fix it. If you look at it right here, the beverage coolers, they didn't really need to be fixed, but this now just says mug. Not going to weigh
It's a
in.
white mug.
Yes, still a white mug, but just mug. It used to be coffee mug,
Oh,
and now
let's
it's
go back to that
mug.
one.
Yeah. What?
I just want to go back. Oh, it says white coffee mug down there.
Yeah.
Underneath the mug itself. It's actually denominated a coffee mug.
That's right. That's why it's so funny. We didn't just imply it. They said this is a Latter-day Saint coffee mug. That's right. But in this version, they have taken out the devil's bean juice, and it's simply a mug. So you can put cocoa in it. You can put hot chocolate. You can put Postum.
You can put pins in it like I do.
I was going to say, you can put pens and pencils in it. Yeah, it's just a mug. They're not going to tell you what to do with it. But, I thought it was interesting that there were some other merch that they didn't really pick up on that I found even more problematic. Here we have a Latter-day Saint for Trump flask. Very nice, attractive flask.
That's good for keeping you warm at a cold rally.
I think so too. And sacrament meeting, right? If you go out in the hall, I think so. Here's a vape pen, Latter-day Saint for Trump. I mean, that would be important too. And of course, the Latter-day Saint for Trump shot glass, right? All in a bargain, everything that you can. And of course, I'm kidding. Please, nobody think this is real. I'm completely joking. But wouldn't it be funny if it were true?
Those vape pens, not for chapel use.
Not for chapel use.
Please go outside the chapel before using your Latter-day Saints for Trump vape pen.
Vape pen. Move away from the building. That's right. And the shot glass, in a pinch, could double for a sacrament cup if it had to.
Yes, I was going to say the shot glass and the flask are actually for use inside the chapel.
Yes, that's right.
It's whatever you need to get through sacrament meeting.
Kind of like a hip flask, and you're just kind of like, I was once in sacrament meeting, and a woman sat down next to me with kids, and she got out a box of Cheerios, 2 bowls, and a gallon of milk. And she made her kids cereal
and
right
milk?
there in the back row. And milk. She had it all in a big bag. Yeah.
I've never seen the milk part.
No, this was before I had kids. Yeah. And I was like, you can do that? You can like bring dinner and breakfast to church? I'm all in. Yeah.
You said these are jokes, but these are your jokes, aren't they? You came up with this.
Oh, yeah. No, these are my jokes. Yeah. Who else would do this?
You're a funny, brilliant person. You come up with such funny ideas.
Well, I had a lot of fun, and it just kind of made me laugh that happened. But everything's on track now, and Latter-day Saints for Trump and Latter-day Saints for Harris are also, so we'll see.
Can I ask you something, since I'm not as familiar with flasks as you might be?
Yeah. Oh, what are you trying to say?
I'm just asking a question. What is that metal? It looks like a nipple thing at the bottom
I think
right
that's
of
what
the
it
flask.
is.
You know what that is?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe somebody in the chat could tell us. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe you
the top,
unscrew
and then maybe you
the
put
top.
that on the top.
Maybe you know what? Okay, so I've heard this, like old-timey people will put whiskey on babies' teeth, when they're teething. Yeah. Maybe it's for babies.
I got a feeling this is so you can keep that thing open. You don't have to go through all
Somebody
the
said, "Oh, you know what?
Opening it up."
Okay,
every time you take a shot.
We're idiots.
Be a little more surreptitious and put this little nipple
read
on
the chat.
top.
We're idiots. Sorry. I'm sorry, everyone in the chat. We're idiots. It's a funnel to pour the liquid into the flask.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well, somebody out there knows their flask.
Otherwise, how would you do it? It would be.
I'm a babe in the woods.
I've never owned a flask. I have no idea, but now I feel like I want to get one.
Well, that's why I have to pay $45 for this flask.
Hey, tomorrow's my birthday, RFM. I just said I wanted a flask. I'm just
Tomorrow's
saying.
your birthday.
Yes, it's my birthday.
Everybody, tomorrow it's October 15th.
It is
Rebecca Biblioteca's birthday.
Crazy, huh?
And you're really busy at work, aren't you?
Yeah, because ironically, tax day,
yes,
deadline for the extension is also my birthday, and that's the industry I work in. So my birthday is usually full of people calling and going, "I need help. Is it too late?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm really sorry."
It is. But tomorrow's not until midnight.
That's right. There's more time. So anyway,
if any of you went ahead with your taxes and didn't pay them on April 15th like me, but just got an extension, you filed an extension, tomorrow is the deadline.
That's right.
And that's what I'll be working on as soon as we leave the show. What, Rebecca?
I said, look at us being all informational. We're so good. Not only do we cover post-Mormon news, we give tax advice. We tell people about funnels, vape pens, and shot glasses. We're awesome. All right, let's move on from the Trump merch. I made up a new segment for the newscast. I'm calling it Temple Update Time, or TUT, which if I had thought about it, I would have gotten the Steve Martin King, TUT, a TUT.
Or tut, tut, it looks like rain.
That's right. Tut, tut. It could be Winnie the Pooh too. Okay. Because I realize I have 3 or 4 updates for the various things that are going on with temples. And we haven't put out an episode on Mormonish for a while because everything's so in flux with what's happening with the temples. We keep waiting for like something definitive, but there's all these little things that are happening. So I know you guys will be interested in this. Now, Bakersfield, California is something that we have not covered very much on our episodes because they're kind of running their own show kind of privately. You know, they have a PR rep, they have a lawyer, they're definitely working it, you know, they're definitely doing it, but they're at the point where they're having community meetings. So we'll go over this very quick article from Bakersfield. It says a group of residents in West Bakersfield are pushing back against the design of a proposed temple from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that they say would be incongruent with the community. I feel like everyone should just raise their hand when they hear phrases that they've heard before, right? From some of these other cities. I feel like
if it's going to be congruent with the Bakersfield, California community, they should just build it with the, I don't know, the graffiti already spray painted on the walls.
That's possible.
Then it would be congruent.
Any of our viewers or listeners from
that is a horrible thing. I'm so sorry. Bakersfield, I'm sure it's a beautiful city, and I can't wait to go there.
Know, without Bill to keep you under control, because goodness knows I can't do it. I mean, it's RFM unleashed and unbridled. That's right. So anyway, I just read this. I thought, I'm getting deja vu here. Again, this all happened last Wednesday. So a meeting was held Wednesday evening at the Brighton Park Clubhouse because this temple is going to be built right next to a retirement community of, you know, like single story houses. So of course, these people in this retirement community are like, what? And I've seen pictures, they've done renderings of what this steeple will look like against their 1-story houses. It's absolutely ridiculous or incongruent, as they mentioned. So the meeting is held Wednesday night, and more than 50 residents gathered to hear an update on the effort to see the design of the temple change. So we recognize where they are in the process. They're aware of what the plan is now. They're saying this is not going to work. Let's have some meetings with the church, with some of the community leaders. Each of these temples is in a different phase, and you can just predict like clockwork what's going to happen. So at issue for the residents is not the temple itself. I feel like we need to raise our hand again because we hear this in every city that we deal with, which they say would be welcome. It's the height and the bright, which I thought was great. I had not heard it said that way before. The height and the bright. It's kind of snappy, maybe Culch in the chat. You can make some kind of a song or something to that, height and the bright, that they worry would come from the proposed 123-foot steeple at the center of the construction. So if they had come in with a 60-foot height limit, they could have broken ground years ago. I feel like we need to raise our hand again, said Greg Brott, a member of the ad hoc committee. All we're saying is, let's just raise our hand ahead of time here. Please be within the code and you can start building tomorrow. Okay. These words could have come out of the mouths of anyone in Fairview, anyone in Vegas. I think they did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It did. Anybody in Heber, anybody in Cody, all these citizens independently take stock of the situation and come up with the same conclusion and try to do the same things to protect their towns. But the church maintains that the steeple is an important feature of the temple, which are special locations used for specific religious observance. Let's see, am I ahead of myself? Yes. The LDS population continues to expand in California. Right now, the closest temple.
Oh, come on now.
I know. I didn't raise my hand there, although I should have, because I say that in every town.
I don't even think that's true. Who would say such an outrageous lie?
Well, in all these towns, I keep getting people to take screenshots of the availability of open seats in temple sessions in all the nearby temples, and it's like astronomical, like 40 seats, 39 seats, 50 seats. It's like, and then everybody rebuts me and says, yeah, but there are walk-ins. Are there, though? Are there 50 people walking in that aren't making an appointment? I don't think so. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, and I've heard reports too from people who are in places to know that these temples are not fully used. And actually you have to schedule. You have to schedule something because they only have maybe a couple of sessions a day. If you're lucky.
Yeah.
By the way, for those who don't know, back when I joined the church back in 78, I went to the temple first time in 79. I've been to the temple a few times in my life. And it used to be that you didn't have to look when the sessions were starting. I don't know. Did anybody look at that? No, you just went to the temple and you would go through what you needed to go through to get your temple whites on, and you'd go into the chapel and you would just wait, because it just happened like clockwork. Like every 15 minutes, they take out another row of people from the chapel, head them out to the endowment rooms. And it was a thriving, I almost said business, but it was a thriving activity going on in the temple. It's not like that anymore. So it's just a strange situation where the church is pretending that the population of active temple going Mormons is increasing. And so we're building all of these obnoxiously, what was it? The height and the bright.
Height and the bright. That's it.
Yeah.
Like a billboard.
Temples to accommodate the members, when really that's not the case. All they're doing is infuriating the neighbors.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And the people that I feel more sorry for are the people that have to staff these temples and pull double shifts, triple shifts. I mean, already, as I've said before, in a lot of temples in Utah where they're so close together, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, a new temple opens and they're taking the workers from the one 20 miles away and they're shuffling them around, but it's still the same people. I know they're calling younger people now to work in the temple, and they're making it a mission to go somewhere and serve in the temple. But I know that these people are strapped. I know that leaders are frustrated I can just picture this giant whiteboard, right? And they're trying to, those people can go there. And you see these things that are leaked letters. We need 1,200 people to fill some shifts. 1,200 people? You don't think that stake presidents aren't laying in bed at night going, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? You know, and to me, it impacts those people who, a lot of them all are older. Somebody reached out to me last week, and I'll try to keep the story vague, but they had a relative who was a temple worker. And it's a temple where one temple in the area has closed down. So a lot of people are being closed down just for renovation, funneled to this temple. So this one temple that this person works at is very, very busy. And once a year, I think it was once a year, this person's whole family gets together for this breakfast, like extended family. It's a big deal. It's a huge tradition. And this relative asked, could I miss my shift? It's like a once a year, you know, getting together for a meal with extended family. He was not allowed to miss. He was not allowed to not go to his temple shift to be with his actual family on earth. He had to keep the shift because there was nobody that could fill in. So that's what I'm talking about.
Isn't it funny that Mormons sometimes, like this person in any way, treats a temple shift like they're an employee?
Yes, that's why when you say you can't miss,
fire them.
Yeah, he could walk out. Yeah, he could, but he didn't, and they won't. And that's what I see, is that sometimes these, you know, stretching so thin, these older people, and they're missing their real life, you know, their grandkids and things like that. So I don't know. There's just a lot to it, but we all, I think, know the reasons behind it. So,
and I had interrupted you when you started that lie by Merrill Dibble. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm going
to LDS population.
Yep. No, I'm going to find. Yes, the LDS population continues to expand in California. That sent us down that rabbit hole. You know, without Bill here, with his calm, quiet presence and that kind of eyebrow that he puts up when we're taking too long and just rattling on and on, we're a pack of hyenas. We need you, Bill. We're a pack. We're two. A duo of hyenas, something. Anyway, Bill keeps us grounded. We miss you, Bill. We'll see you next week. Okay. So right now the closest temples are Fresno and Los Angeles, said Merrill Dibble, stake president for the LDS Church in Bakersfield. The temple would be a great blessing to so many of us that live here. You know, and we do hear that everywhere, that we need one closer. Proximity is a big deal. Dibble said the church, now this part is very strange, and I'm not raising my hand here because I honestly can't explain it. Dibble said the church was intending to seek approval for the temple as designed, but will ultimately follow what the city allows.
Another lie.
It's ultimately up to the city to decide and will follow their guidance. Dibble said.
That's not even true.
Yes, it's not even true.
And I would like it's not true, even as he says it. Come on, Dibble.
Yeah. It's Dibble, how dare you dabble in these falsehoods? That's what I say. So, but again, he's saying that, to pacify the residents. But if any of them just want to do a Google search, please, Fairview, Lone Mountain, Heber, Cody, find out what's really going on.
You know what's going to happen when they get to the city, and the city says, okay, if you build it 60 feet high, you can start, but not with this. Do you know how tall this steeple is?
It's 123. So again, all of these are proportional. I mean, obviously you've got Lone Mountain, the 218. That's bigger than this, but the proportion there and just what it is in that community, you have to kind of take it case by case. And it's funny because a lot of the temples we deal with, like Lone Mountain says, I take Cody. That sounds great, right? And Fairview says, I take Bakersfield. Let's do that. So
right.
It really is kind of a perspective. So yeah, I feel like they're just saying that. And we've seen this before. They kind of appease the people. They'll take it before planning and zoning. They'll take it before the town council. If it doesn't go that way, then the threats of the lawsuits will start. And then you're kind of in the next phase.
I predict that in a future city council meeting in Bakersfield, those who are against the temple as it is proposed will quote Dibble, State President Dibble, right here. And then the church lawyers will get up and say, oh, I'm sorry. He didn't speak for us. Didn't we have something like that in Texas?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because all the residents and the people that are kind of spearheading the residents group eventually realized that nobody who's a decision maker is sent to meet with them at all. And some of the town councils are like, that's insulting. Why would you not send someone that can actually make a decision? They're all just representatives. So it's very easy to do what you just said, where finally some of the bigger wigs will come in and they'll say, well, that person was speaking as a man, speaking as a President Dibble.
Speaking as a Dibble.
I was going to say speaking as a Dibble, but I thought that I didn't.
You know what this is, don't you? It's the trouble with Dibbles.
Oh, if I start laughing, I'm going to snort laugh and you'll never
make a meme.
So I'm going to make a meme. I'm going to do it, which is a Star Trek pun. Ooh, see, now we're left uncensored to make Star Trek jokes back and forth. We've got to control ourselves. Seriously, we got to rein this back in. Okay. So anyway, that's where it stands in Bakersfield, and we will see what happens next. So interestingly, this is great. I'm calling this, it ain't over till the fat cowboy sings. Hopefully you've all heard that phrase, the fat lady sings. So this is an update from Cody, and we did cover this last week, if you remember, the stealth groundbreaking, or I think that was 2 weeks ago maybe, and construction has started. And then I got this very nice announcement from my friends on the Preserve Our Cody Neighborhood Committee, and they said update. Here's an update from a couple days ago, and it says on September 27th, the covert LDS temple groundbreaking scene was interesting to witness. From the temporary grass, the potted trees, the dignitary chairs for the few people attending, surrounded by a wagon train circle of vehicles, complete with apparent security forces to watch. We do not understand the secrecy or the need for security. The LDS is taking a substantial risk by starting its $41 million, and that's a dollar that amount that the church has put on this, the church themselves. Even though this temple, which is a pop-up temple like others in the area, the other temples don't cost this much. The church has said this one is $41 million. The commercial construction project in this rural residential neighborhood zone. What happens if the Wyoming Supreme Court rules in Preserve Our Cody neighborhood's favor, placing their $41 million capital investment at risk?
Exactly.
And everyone should go, what? What do you mean the Wyoming Supreme Court? And that's exactly right. Next announcement is the Wyoming Supreme Court has accepted our case, and court proceedings continue as the matter moves from district court to the Wyoming Supreme Court. Preserve Our Cody neighborhood remains fully committed to our rightful appeal before the Wyoming Supreme Court. So that's news right there.
That's huge news. We thought that was dead in the water.
Yeah, and everybody does. I point to Heber, where just 3 or 4 days after the announcement in conference, they did a big groundbreaking. Everybody was there, shovels in the ground. People on the county commission who had to change all the zoning had their shovels in the ground too. And everyone assumed it's over, it's done. I did too. Here it is almost 2 years later. And there's some interesting things going on in Heber. It's not really happening. I've been out there to that lot, grown over by weeds. No construction,
Because they put the shovels in the ground and water started bubbling up.
Yeah. Like what is it? Texas tea, right? It's like the Beverly Hillbillies. That's exactly it.
But this was water. This isn't such a good thing to have bubbling up.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything yet, but Mormonish has been podcasting about the millions of gallons that need to be pumped out initially and then daily from that location. And, we had some engineers on, some information. We had some of the residents trying to go to the town, explain it. And I feel like maybe there's something going on there, but we'll wait till we get some definitive news. But what I'm trying to say is a groundbreaking doesn't necessarily mean that a temple is happening forthwith. So anyway, that's Cody, and that's happy news for them. Now we will go on to Fairview.
By the way, Rebecca.
Yes.
I apologize. I know you're quite conversant with this, so I don't feel bad about asking you the question. What's going on with the Wyoming Supreme Court?
Oh, and again, I'm not conversant with this because this is something that you and Colby, who I know I sent this information to Colby, and I think I haven't sent it to you yet, but something did, in very simplistic terms, something did change wherein the Wyoming Supreme Court looked back at different decisions they had made about how town councils and planning and zoning operate and their authority to make decisions. And they realized that they may have looked at things incorrectly and then ruled based on that incorrect assumption that they had. So they are now in the process of revisiting decisions that were made with questions of planning and zoning. Like people come to the court and say, the P&Z board said this, and we said this. In the past, Wyoming Supreme Court voted one way, but now they're going, I'm not sure if that was correct. We need to retry these cases. So that's very simplistic. Hopefully Colby in the chat, if he read what I sent him, can make it more clear. But basically, they're just looking at things a little differently. And this will make them look at the Preserve Our Cody Neighborhood lawsuit differently too. So I can hope, because that was really a travesty. I mean, I know we podcasted on this before, but think about this. You get a note on your front door that says a temple's coming. You go a week later, I think a week or so later, to a meeting at a stake center and you see a drawing. According to how it is now, within 9 days, when the Planning and Zoning Board met, you would have had to get together a coalition, launch a lawsuit, raise the 9 days. You don't even know what's happening or what it looks like. It's almost impossible for these towns unless they're watching ahead of time, like hear the announcement in conference and start watching. It's impossible to mobilize that quickly, which is why Fairview is so amazing, and also Lone Mountain, because they really did. So this is what's going on with Fairview. If you remember, the town council voted no temple, come back please with a design that meets our codes and meets our zoning. And the church went away and we have not heard from them. Some citizens in Allen, Texas launched a lawsuit claiming that their rights to worship and their religious freedom had been trampled on because they had to drive. You did the whole schematic, RFM. Remember that? 19 minutes. What was it again?
The one in Dallas.
Yeah.
They have to drive like 17 extra minutes or something.
Yeah. A lot. That's exactly right. So anyway, this lawsuit is pending out there. They received a notification of this lawsuit, but nothing's really happened. But we do know that the LDS Church's lawsuit it's inevitable. And so
my recollection is that the time limit for filing a lawsuit or a notice is a year.
Yep, it's a long time. That's right. So I'm sure there's some things going on behind the scenes where maybe there's still some pressures that are being put on the town council. Again, a town council of volunteers. This is a teeny tiny town. I can't express this to you. Any of you that live in a small town, imagine what this would be like. Honestly, I feel like it probably has gridlock as far as the town being able to accomplish anything else. So anticipating this lawsuit from this giant corporation, they have launched a fundraising arm to see if they can gather some funds to help support the town. And I put I think right here, I put this up if anyone's interested. It's fairviewtexas.givingfuel.com/zoning-defense-fund. And I'll re-put these in the show notes. I didn't think about it yet. You can just Google givefuel.com and it'll come up. So anyway, so here's the description of the fund. It says this fund was created by the town of Fairview at the request of town residents and others because of potential litigation between our small community and the giant wealthy Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS. Put simply, the LDS Church is attempting to force the town to accept a temple and steeple that would dominate the town due to its size and is totally out of proportion to the surrounding residential area. If this issue goes to court, we would be David fighting Goliath. All donations are voluntary and go toward legal costs and related expenses incurred by the town and its attorneys in defending the town's zoning ordinances, including costs for preparation and defense against any litigation initiated by or involving the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS, its individual members and or other interested parties in relation to the disputed zoning matter. So there is already the one, intent to sue from the 2 residents who don't like to drive. So you have that. Then it says donations to this fund are not refundable after this matter has concluded, including any litigation and related appeals, and after all legal costs and related expenses, including but not limited to legal fees, judgments, awards, and other associated costs have been paid in full, any money remaining in the Town of Fairview Zoning Defense Fund will be donated to the Friends of Fairview First Responders Association, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So there it is. What do you think of that, RFM? A small town asking for funds to defend itself against the LDS Church. I have not heard of this before.
I think it's a great idea. I do think it, I don't know, I don't want to get in the way of the town or anything, but it would make sense to me to wait until the church files at least a notice of intent to sue before donating to something. Otherwise, they wouldn't need the money before then.
Yep. And that makes me believe that behind the scenes, unbeknownst to us, that they are being contacted and they are probably being let know that this is inevitable. Otherwise, I don't think they would take the step. So I think probably behind the scenes with the, I think it's happening. So we'll keep you all updated. But a lot of people have reached out to me and asked, how can I help support this town? If you would like to help support financially, here it is. Here's the fund. They're just, they're just trying to get started. So, all right.
So
your
tithing to the church will be fighting it out with your donations to Fairview.
Isn't it funny? And so many people feel that way. Now that they don't pay tithing, they really do look at what they can do. And something like that is mighty satisfying, isn't it? A little bit. Oh, I think that's funny. I did reach out to Lone Mountain. A judge is supposed to vote on whether something is going to be dismissed or not, and we have not gotten that information yet. But again, people don't realize once the city council says no or says yes, it's still not a done deal. These citizens continue to, push things forward as far as they can in the courts. And again, these are private citizens. And the funny thing is that temples are always built in affluent areas. And what do you find in affluent areas? Affluent people and pretty smart people. And a lot of them lawyers themselves. And this is why you have these citizens groups that can really, really get in there and, try to do what's going to be best for their town. So, all right, let's move forward. Okay. Summit, New Jersey. Now, this was just announced at conference just a few days ago, right? And there was an article that came out where the church was glowingly describing, this is going to be amazing. The members in Summit, they can't wait. Somebody on social media I put this post up and somebody wrote back, the members are thrilled. And then somebody else wrote, yes, both of them are. I thought that was really nice. Anyway, sorry.
Summit, New Jersey.
But in the article of Summit, New Jersey said, we don't know anything about this. This is news to us. We have no idea. And that's kind of the MO. I remember, I think it was the Linden Temple, or was it the Orem Temple? Anyway, even here in Utah, town councils, you don't need to know. It's on a need to know basis. You don't need to know. So unless you're doing your due diligence, you're looking at your zoning, you're seeing if residential is being changed to high density, if you're looking for things like that, you are not going to know, even if you're like a, city planner or somebody that's on the town council. So I just thought it was really funny. There was a little paragraph there that said, Summit County Town Commissioner said, we don't know what you're talking about, which is funny. Now, if you're China, and you don't know what they're talking about, you have the power to say, as we reported on last time, not so much, because that temple, the Chinese temple that was announced a couple of years ago, has been taken off the list. It doesn't exist anymore. So, but I had to laugh here because, again, I went to AI and I said, New Jersey Temple. And if you can see that closely, it's like a pizza parlor on the bottom floor.
That is so funny. And I can look at that and see temple, and I see pizza.
Yeah.
Spelled various ways.
Yeah, AI is getting better, but it does have some nonsensical words. That's true. But I would totally be on board with a pizza parlor temple. I think that would be absolutely.
So would I. And the rendition that AI does of a temple, it looks like a cathedral. This looks like a really, really nice church.
It
This
does.
looks like the kind of church that most people wouldn't mind so much having go up in their neighborhoods. The problem is that the LDS churches, the temples of the LDS church, don't look so much like cathedrals as they look like Masonic temples with pointy tops.
Yeah.
They're
And
really
real
not as
difference.
attractive as the LDS church thinks they are.
Exactly. And the real difference is at night when they're just lit up. I mean, I live in an area where you can see several at the same time, and they're not awe-inspiring. You don't want to go toward them like a moth to the flame. You're like, what the hell is that? I mean, seriously, that's more the reaction. It really is. And it's interesting to me, the AI now, because I've been making these AI temples for a while now, they tend to put crosses on top. And I think that's because, out there, crosses are now more acceptable with the LDS Church, and they're using them on Google Maps and all of that. So, I have a joke for you. I told this on the Mormon News Roundup. What is a Mormon's favorite kind of pizza?
I don't know.
Pepperoni.
That's
sorry.
funny.
It's so freaking corny, but I thought it was
Did you come up with that?
No, I didn't actually. I found that joke.
That's very funny. Pepperoni.
Yeah.
You can look it up in the pronunciation guide in the back of the Book of Mormon.
That's right. I know. Why is it Moroni?
I have no idea.
No, it isn't.
There's nobody I've ever known who has come to the Book of Mormon, independent of Mormonism, looked at that word and said Moroni.
Yep.
They say Moroni.
So my mom joined the church when she was 21 years old in Austria. She was on a Fulbright scholarship to study zoology. And so she's in Austria.
Wow.
She meets Mormons on the boat over. And by the time she gets to the dock, the missionaries are waiting for her. And so she reads everything and learns everything in German, right? But she thought it was moroni. That's what she thought it was, which maybe that's a little more accurate. I'm not sure. But yeah, nobody who independently comes to it would naturally and linguistically say Moroni.
Moron.
Yep, pepperoni. So there you go.
It's my favorite kind of pizza, by the way.
What?
New Jersey deep dish pepperoni pizza.
That's right, pepperoni. They better start that now because the temple's a coming. All right. Let's see. We have two more little tidbits. I think we're going to end a little early tonight without Bill. He's so loquacious, right? It's not us. It's Bill. He's the one. Just All right.
By the way, is Angry Alice, is she still asleep? Because could you pick her up and just show her to our audience? They love Angry Alice.
And she's on the floor. Alice.
She's on the floor?
Laying upside down. Yeah.
Okay.
As dogs do. No, she's really cute, but she is very angry. So, and this I thought was interesting. This in the path of Hurricane Milton, right? Are steeples important to God after all? Because here is a steeple that fell off a building in the path of the hurricane. Nobody was hurt. We're thankful for that, but maybe rethink that, right? They're just kind of targets. How many steeples have we heard of or temple Moronis that have been struck by lightning?
Right. There's a lot of them. Yeah. And losing the horn and everything, the trumpet.
Yep.
This could be God weighing in on the issue.
Oh, don't even go there because so many people believe that opened the seventh seal, right? When Moroni's trumpet fell. You know that. You did a whole podcast on that.
I do so many podcasts. I can't keep track of all the crazy
This was a big one. It was the
trumpet
fall, and then it opens the dispensations, and then the missionaries will be called back. COVID. I have lots of friends that have the apocalyptic mindset, and so I have to keep tabs on this.
I apologize. I forgot this is the Mormon Newscast, not Mormonism After Dark.
No,
I have trouble keeping track of all the crazy things that Mormons believe.
I feel like it's a little bit of both this time. So anyway, steeple on the ground, maybe rethink safety. Okay, let's see if we can get this video to play. This was another interesting thing that popped up over the weekend, and we'll see what we think of this.
That also looks like a scene, that last one. That also kind of looks like a scene out of The Omen.
It kind of does.
I know a lot of people there with the steeple right through his heart.
Exactly. A lot of people express going into a church building like after hours, and there is that feeling, sort of like The Omen, sort of a scary, unsettling feeling. I've had that too, going into just a church building, stake center after hours for some reason. I used to have to practice the organ, right? I wonder if any of you can relate to that, where you have to go like after hours and you're in there playing. And
as long as you're not playing Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, you're okay.
I was playing the Bohemian Rhapsody. Are you kidding me? It was the early 80s, man.
Okay, so where are we now? I'm sorry.
I know. We're trying the little short that Mormonish put out.
Okay, everybody, I'm going to see if I can.
Yep.
Let's see. That's over here.
Yep.
See if I can add this to the stage.
Yeah, we don't have the smooth moves of Bill Reel here with us tonight.
President Russell M. Nelson just celebrated his 100th birthday on September 9th, 2024. Or did he? On a search in the Family Search Tree app, which brings up information about individuals and their family trees, Mormonish Podcast discovered that President Russell Nelson is listed as having died on January 27th, 2022. Let me say that again. President Russell Nelson is listed as having died on January 27th, 2022. In a search of the regular Family Search website, President Nelson's record has been removed. But on the Family Tree app, sponsored by Family Search, this death date is listed. Thoughts?
So that was a funny little thing. Yeah, I had a Mormonish viewer send that to me and said, I don't want to be credited or anything, but what do you think about this? And of course, we honestly don't believe he's passed away. In fact, Family Search is crowdsourced. You can put anything in there. My dad spent, oh my gosh, years, decades trying to correct our family tree, because what happens is you go to church, you hear a lesson 5th Sunday about genealogy. It's easy, log on. Novices log on. Oh, look, his name is John Smith. Oh, there's a John Smith. I'll marry him to her. It happens all the time. And then you have real genealogists like my dad. And he goes in there and he's like, oh, and he has to fix it. So yes, somebody obviously added that, but it is kind of shocking just to see all of a sudden there it is. He actually died 2.5 years ago. I don't know.
It is weird. It gives a chill down the spine. I joined the church in 78. So all I can say is it isn't the first time that a zombie would be leading the church.
Well, isn't the resurrection kind of a zombie? That's right.
Yes, this is a pre-resurrection zombie.
That's exactly it. So,
is there anything else here, Rebecca, beyond that? Oh, yes, renewed. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was going to say one more thing about this, just that I had a lot of comments when I posted this, and a lot of Weekend at Bernie comments, and my comment that I said that, perhaps Wendy wanted to stay in power, and if he really did pass away, she hired a body double, all kinds of things like that, because we have only seen recorded announcements, in the last little while. So it is interesting, but no, he's alive and he's well, and he has reached 100. There was even a news article talking about how he is the oldest faith leader, the oldest, the very oldest. So,
wow.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's a draw to join the church. If people go, I want to join a church where it's the oldest person. I mean, I don't know if that's something that you look at.
That's for me.
It is for you. All right, let's go to our very last item. This is a little update because I know you guys are all thinking, we loved the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Will there be more? I'm thinking that you might be staying up at night wondering about that question. I know the church is probably staying up at night wondering about that question, but it was a runaway hit. They could not have anticipated the success that this is having, the intrigue, the interest in Mormonism. That should be a dream for the church, right? I mean, no bad publicity. So anyway, some details on what's happening next. Yes, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives has been renewed for a second season on Hulu. When will the season premiere? The second season, the first batch of episodes will be released in spring of 2025. That means they're taping it right now, following all the women around and their families, and it'll come out in the spring. How many episodes will be in the season 2? Here's where you should be excited. There were only 8 in season 1, 20 episodes. 20. Did you watch it at all, RFM?
I have not watched any of the Mormon Secret Wives of the Lives of the Secret.
You're just going off what I'm telling you, aren't you? Well, you're going to have to watch it. You can
I just look at the posters.
What?
I just look at the posters and the still shots.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. It's kind of the same. So, but yeah, you plenty of time now to catch up on those 8 episodes, and then we can move forward with the 20. Who will return for season 2? It looks like the entire cast is coming back. And what's going to happen in season 2? The show's press release teases that faith, friendship, and reputations are all on the line. I can't wait. So that's it.
Me either.
Yeah, no, you're like, me either. No, I think that's it. I think we hit on, some of the important points of post-Mormonism tonight.
Yeah, I am looking forward to Valentine's Day of 2025, though.
You are?
Yeah.
Why is that?
A new Captain America movie comes out with Red Hulk.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's more important than the secret lives. That's awesome.
I think it's going to be more entertaining for me, at least.
For you, at least. I have a feeling, though, that you might. Did your significant other watch The Secret Lives?
I don't know.
You don't know. Because
No,
I feel like
know.
I feel like a lot of guys are kind of roped into it. Answer in the chat if this happened to you by their significant other saying, "Oh, we got to watch this. Let's just check it out for a minute," right?
Well, you've watched it. Do you think it's more appealing to women than to men?
Oh yeah, obviously. I think so. In fact, I have next week I'm going to be covering, there was a New York Times article that just came out about it. And sort of, I don't know, there's more to it than meets the eye, especially in this political season. The idea of the trad wife and the idea of women who are only notable because of their role as a wife or a mother. So it sort of has to do with the patriarchy. Anyway, it was a really interesting article. I think if nothing else big comes up, I might cover it next week. But lots of intrigue, lots of interest. So speaking of intrigue and interest, before we leave, what is Mormonism Live doing on Wednesday?
What a great question.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can even answer that, since I think I'm in charge of it.
You might be
what's
in
going
charge.
on? What's going on Wednesday? We're having a very special guest. He's a professor. Here's the thing about it, okay?
Uh-oh.
At this point, we're going to have a special guest on, all right? And he's very knowledgeable about things Mormon as well as the classics, by which I mean Rome, the glory that was Greece and the grandeur that was Rome,
Wow.
if I've got that right.
A classics professor?
Yes.
That sounds interesting. Wow. Okay.
And at this point, I'm just not exactly sure how much I'm authorized to say about him and where he teaches, what his real name is. It's probably okay, but I'm sure I could say something about he has a podcast that he started relatively recently dealing with Mormonism. It's called Coffee with Kish, because one of his nom de guerres is Kishkumen. Which is a Book of Mormon name.
Yeah.
You may recognize it. And it's going to be great. He's got a lot of great insights, very, very intelligent, very deep thinking individual, and a lot of fun too. He's got a great sense of humor, and we're going to have a wonderful time.
That sounds like a fabulous guest. Send
What's Mormonish doing tomorrow night, Rebecca?
It's true. Like I said, it's my birthday. And what else would I be doing but being in the live chat of a Mormonish episode? I mean, I might be wearing a party hat, but I'll still be there. So we have a really interesting episode with a really awesome person, Jessica Rule. And it's an episode that often I'll get ideas for episodes by going on faithful social media. So I found this post from somebody who was investigating the church, and they said, "Hey, I'm investigating and it's all great. Missionaries are nice. People are nice." And then he said, "But don't you guys feel like you have a Joseph Smith problem?" The post has since been deleted, but I got all the answers. So we're going to go through all of these defenses of, no, we don't have a Joseph Smith problem at all. What are you even talking about? So it was very interesting. So we're going to go through 16 reasons why the church does not have a Joseph Smith problem, according to these answers to that investigator's question, since deleted on social media.
That is a lot of problems for one church to not have.
I know. So yeah, it was really interesting and fun. It's a fun episode too. And Jessica, if you guys haven't, she's been on before. If you haven't run into her, she's really,
the name
really
sounds
fun.
familiar. I think,
I think you met her at Sunstone. I'm pretty sure that you met her, but yeah, she's super smart, super funny, really interesting. So yep, 6 p.m. tomorrow night, Tuesday.
That
eat cake while you're doing it, right? Party
I'm so sorry. Eat the cake while you're going to eat your cake.
I'm telling anybody who's going to tune in, get a piece of cake. We'll celebrate my birthday in the live chat.
That's going to be awesome. Well, happy birthday in advance. We won't even ask how old you're going to be.
Let's just say I'm at the very end of my 5th decade.
So 39.
So 39. That's exactly right.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you for all the great stories that you've covered tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you on Mormonish tomorrow and Mormonism Live on Wednesday. I think we're going to have Mormonism After Dark on Friday. It's a packed week. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Please join us next Monday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time for another episode of, what's this called again? I think it's Mormon Newscast.
It's the Mormon Newscast.
Okay, very good. So I'm over here and I'm thinking, which one am I going to pick of these different outros?
Oh, those outros are so awesome.
Do you like Elder Holland, Bednar, Hinckley, McConkey, Uchtdorf, Monson, Packer, Nelson?
I don't think we've done Uchtdorf yet. I don't think we have. If you guys don't stick around for the outro, Bill has created these hilarious things. Have we done Uchtdorf? I don't know that we have.
Let's give it a try, okay?
Let's give it a try. Everybody,
good night, everybody.
Good night.
Dieter Uchtdorf hier. That's a wrap for this week's flight of the Mormon Newscast. We appreciate you flying first class with us and sharing this time with us. Keep the conversation going and stay informed on all things Mormonism. Until next week, wishing you peace and joy. See you next Monday at 6 p.m. on the Mormon Newscast. Doubt your doubts.